Okay, so I'm going to go over Chaturanga, which is like a tricep push-up, and it's a pretty difficult pose, so I'll start once again with the traditional way to get into Chaturanga, or the traditional pose, and then some modifications. So usually start out in plank, and your palms will be under your shoulders, and you will have your core engaged, squeeze your legs together, your head is in alignment with your spine all the way out through the soles of your feet. For Chaturanga, you shift your shoulders a little bit forward, your elbow creases face to the front of the mat, and you bend at the elbows. Bend your elbows backwards, make sure they don't wing out to the sides, and you lower your chest and make sure that your shoulders don't go lower than your elbows here. You want your head in alignment still, so your gaze is down at the floor. I'm going to come on out because it's a very difficult pose to hold. Usually in Chaturanga, it's part of a series of postures, maybe like a sun salute or a vinyasa, which I'll cover a vinyasa in another video. But if you're struggling with Chaturanga, here are some modifications for you. So the first one, it's very similar to what I just did, but instead of holding yourself up off the ground, you actually slowly lower all the way to the ground. Make sure you do it slowly and that you don't just plop onto the ground, because if you're modifying Chaturanga, that's great that you have recognized that you can't do the pose safely yet, so you're modifying, but the goal is to modify until you get to be able to do the full posture. So if you just flop on the ground, you're not really building strength there. So you want to, if you're doing it that way, to very slowly as you can, lower yourself to the ground. The next modification is Chaturanga with your knees on the ground. So you will start with it's like a tabletop, but your hands are a little bit further forward than usual, but they're still shoulder width apart. And I keep my knees together and I lift my feet up off the ground. And you still want to keep your head lined up all the way out through your knees. And you would do the same way. You shift your shoulders forward, elbows bend and go straight back, and you still don't want your shoulders to go any lower than your elbows here. So that is a second modification. And lastly, you can, if you have a block or a book at home or at the yoga studio, then you can place it between your hands. And whenever you lower down, it gives you a place to rest your chest. You can have it whatever way you need, depending on your level of ability. But whenever you lower yourself down, you can rest your chest on the block, and that really helps you feel how it feels to be in the full Chaturanga with obviously the support of the block. And then eventually you can lower to where you're just maybe an inch above the block with your chest, so that you build the strength that way. So if you're using the block, it's right between your hands and you're either on your toes, or you can even do it with your knees down. Either way, but you lower until your chest rests on the block. So that's another great way to build up to Chaturanga. So I hope this helps you, and thank you for watching, and I'll be back with more.